Attendees, please bear with us. I will start from the starting. It is very important topic. Okay. Today we are going to talk about daily routine activities. Uh, so we will learn about what are different daily activities and why to have a routine, and why we use AAC during different activities, and how to use AAC. So before that, if you remember, last time we talked about speech and language stimulation. It is the key that includes reception or comprehension, joint activities, and feedback to the child's behavior or activities, and error correction. And communication is and should be the ultimate goal, and it is more desirable than speech. Then when we are talking about AAC, the level of technology, number of icons, level of complexity doesn't have any hierarchy, and multimodality is always best approach. So when I'm talking to you, I use my speech, I use facial expression, I use hand gestures. So multimodality is always best approach, and more than one AAC system is always preferable. And children are different from each other regardless of their primary and secondary conditions. That means if a child has some intrinsic factors that can be overcome by extrinsic efforts by the caregivers. Okay, so when I talk about multimodality, it is not like a person who is juggling with so many balls here in the first image, but it is actually it's like your mobile phone on mixed mode, like tone come vibration mode, where when you get a notification, it vibrates, it gives a ringtone, and also you see a visual image of a message coming to you. Okay, so multimodality is making sure that the child is getting it. Okay, so we are still at the part where we are talking about the background, like what is AAC system and all. So low tech, where less technology is used. Mid tech, more voice. In low tech there is no voice. In mid tech there are voices, and it has a little bit of technology. And high tech, it is designated speech generating devices. Okay, and we have different access switches, like direct selection and indirect selection, and we have different types of access switches in that each category. So when we divide our daily activities, we can classify them into regular versus specific. Like brushing teeth goes into regular activity, and specific is like a science project at school, or scribbling, or artwork, or maybe shopping, or sorting task. Then you can classify again the daily activities into frequent and less frequent. Frequent is like going to school, going to park, going to aunt's home, or grandma's home. And less frequent is like going to doctor or dentist. And preferred versus unpreferred, we all know, we as adults also, we have preferred and unpreferred activities. Now what categories, let us think about this category, where this activities fall into, right? Leaving the house, does it happen regularly or not? It happens regularly. The child has to leave the house almost every day to go to school or go to park. Having visitors at your house, that happens most of the times. So you can see you can classify this into either of these six types of classification system. Okay, now why we should have a routine? Our children with autism, they can appreciate predictability and pattern. Just imagine you go to in your own building, when you are walking down the stair, and suddenly you notice that one day you have to go take another road because this stair is under repair, right? So it disturbs your regular activity. So predictability and patterns, consistent patterns, make the easy for the children. Okay, and we almost, as adults also, we show this resistance to change. Then what to expect, if you know what is going to happen today, then you will be ready, right? So when you are ready, then you have less destructive behaviors. And when there is a routine, it is comfortable, and you feel safe and confident. Also what happens is, when you suppose you are repairing a machine, right? You know the steps, step 1, step 2, step 3. If you know all the steps, somewhere it goes wrong, you can go back to the safe place. Like you are recovering your windows on your computer, what you do is you remember, 3 days back my system was working fine, so you go back to system restore to that 3 days back. Same way here, if there is a routine, the child knows, okay, I went wrong at this step, he can go back to the step where he was right, till where he was right. Okay, so there are different researchers says that children with daily routines, fixed routines, they have 50% increased likelihood of maintaining strong social emotional health, and it also helps in eliminating power struggles. मैं करूंगा तुम करो, it is my turn now, those power struggle ends. Then there is a consistency which is maintained. Then there is more cooperation from the child, and of course the caregivers are always cooperative. Then there is a better and stronger parent-child connection because they are on the same page. Now we both have to focus on this task, right? This step of the task. Then it also helps kid take ownership of their own activities. We will cut short a bit. There are 4 strategies such as create, alert, like, and create, alert, like, and maintain. So what we see is create is if you want to do a routine, if you have to follow a routine, you have to make one routine. Okay, so identify the task, identify child's strength and weakness, and then make steps, smaller steps. Represent, as you can see here, you can make visual images with written words, which is quietly in a sequential manner, and you can introduce it to the child. Then see if the child is able to do, help, give time bound, introduce time boundness to the task. Each step should have some time. You can have a visual timer like the images, or you can have an auditory and visual timer, which can at each step it can give an alert that this step has to be finished by 10 minutes. Suppose the child is sorting all the blue shirts and then red shirts and green shirts in a shop, okay, or at home he is sorting shirts, pants, toys, everything. Then for 10 minutes shirts, for 10 minutes pants, like that. Okay, so that should be a visual timer. Then every time you have to understand that positive reinforcement, not only in case of children, we also feel motivated if someone tells yes. When you post a picture on Facebook, someone likes it, you feel motivated, isn't it? So you have to like, you have to give reinforcement. The reinforcement can be for completion of an activity, without problematic behavior or without prompting, without assistance, and then completion of the entire routine. So as you see in this different types, with problem or without problem, without prompting or with prompting, depending on that your prize also can be small, big, and medium. Okay, a small prize can be 2 minutes screen time. The child can see some 2 minutes video, wheels on the bus or anything like that. And medium reinforcements are like watching a movie or going to favorite place. And big prize is like more tangible, getting a new toy, which is like more permanent. He going to Disneyland or something like that. Okay, what we should reward? We should reward positive behaviors. We should reward following direction. Remember, I told about speech and language stimulation, where reception, comprehension is very much necessary, very much important. Okay, then we should reinforce flexibility. If the child is, suppose the child, there was a breakdown, something happened, and child was reluctant, and when you told, what, can we skip this step and go to the next step? If the child shows flexibility, reward that. Okay, and then interaction. If the child looks at you, the child nods his head, then reward that. Anything, when you introduce positive reinforcement, that increases the child's behavior, targeted behavior. Okay, when the child, suppose the child cries, child wants something, child showed, pointed at the thing, you did not understand, did not give, child starts throwing temper tantrum, and what you did, are bacha ro raha hai, saman lao de do, you got the thing and gave it to the child. What happens? This was a positive reinforcement. You give positive reinforcement, that behavior increases. The child understands that each time I cry, I get the thing. Right? So वो नहीं होना चाहिए. Positive reinforcement should be given only for positive behaviors. Okay. Then we have to maintain, modulate, and modify. Now, as you can see in this image, there are different small examples of morning schedule. Like if you go to first, you do this, go to restroom, then freshen up, then wear good clothes, then go down the stair to the dining hall, then you get to eat and then brush, then you can go to school, or then you can then you can have your device. Okay, then same thing, you can have a cleanup routine like that. So what happens is, if you can see here, every image has very clear picture of what is the activity, and there is one box next to it that the child can put a tick or not done, either tick to say that I did this or not done. And once the child achieves those two things, then he can do if there is a conditional clause, if you do this you get that. So automatically it makes a reinforcement cycle. Okay. uh, this daily routines, sometimes they can be flexible, sometimes they can be fixed, depending on what kind of routine activities it is. Like, washing hands before and after eating, you cannot skip any step. It is about the child's hygiene. And it may become a repeated behaviors for the child, so you cannot be flexible with that. Okay, so you can make a schedule like this. You take small icons and put it, and once the child is done, he can take out one icon and put it. Most of our children with autism, they like to play around, they like to play with the icons like this. They hold and they look, right? They really take it to near to their eyes, and they look, and they like to play around. Okay, so it gives their sensory stimming. So it is helpful if you make it more interactive, more tangible like this, when the child can remove and put it. Okay. So you can make more smaller step, like go to toilet, then stand up, then do your work, then pull up your pants, and then wash your hands. And further you can make more smaller steps, that ask for help, open the door, go to toilet, take out the pan, do your work, then put the pan down, flush, then take out, pull up your pants and wash your hands. Okay. So you can do a plan and completed, just like this image, plan and completed in different formats, depending on how many icons or how many items a child can handle. Okay, for one schedule. Let us see one video. This is kept in a school
I wanted to show
classroom.
Another example of using a visual schedule in the home. And this one's pretty simple. It is just a paint stick I got for free. I put some magnet strips on it, and I have the icons. They take the icon, bring this to the table where they eat. When they're finished dinner, they come back and drop it in the all done. They check their schedule, time for television. They bring this with them. When they finish TV, which I hope you set your timer so that they know when TV time is over. And then simple. What I love about the idea of this being on the paint stick and the magnetic is that it's portable. So you can just bring this to the bedroom for the read the book and bedtime, so that they don't have to come.
So you have to understand one thing: when you are using this kind of AAC, small visual icon schedule, or if then conditional sentences or activities, make it accessible for the child. So don't put it at the top of the shelf. The child is not probably going to take that icons and put it on the wall and then use it. No, make it accessible to the child. Now each time when you choose a task, try to make it like a game, like a play activity. Don't, sometimes what happens is, हम लोग बच्चों के साथ बैठेंगे, even as a parents or even therapist, we take out a game like building blocks and we make it a task. Okay, we tell them, hey, तुम अभी ये करना है, अच्छा blue वाला लो, अरे red वाला लो. Not like that. Okay, so instead of making the play as a task, better to make the task as play. For that, what we need to understand is if the child is interested in that activity or not. Any activity can increase communication and increase positive behaviors if the child is interested. Okay, so we have to understand that both the child is paying attention, the child is sitting still, and the child follows rules. If not all following rule, at least with assistance, the child is following some directions, and both are on the same page, right? So when we take out a game, as I said, different consideration we have to make when you pick a game. Why is play more difficult for children on the autism spectrum? Actually, the first thing about autism is not everyone has intellectual issues, not everyone has behavioral problems, but almost everyone of them have a problem with social interaction. That was the first observation as a therapist, as a clinician, as a parent you make, right? So they have difficulty in developing symbolic and pretend play skills. हम लोग देखे होंगे बच्चों को कुछ ब्लॉक, छोटा सा घर में कुछ ईट या जो भी है उसको उठाया या पेन लिया और पेन को मैजिक वॉन्ड, लाइक ए मैजिक वॉन्ड द चाइल्ड इज रोटेटिंग एंड टेलिंग like, okay, that is pretend play. If the children with autism may not show this pretend play skills, okay, they may not have mimicking skills, they may not imitate us. What you see is, नहीं तो हमारा बच्चा बोलता है, हम जो बोलेंगे बाप बाप बोला तो बाप 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 करता है, that might not be a real imitation, that is just echolalia, might be. Okay, so difficulty, they don't have joint attention. When we talk about joint attention, it is two things we have to understand. One is share an interest in the same object or event, and also both the clinician, the caregiver, and the child understand that they both are interested. It's not like a child knows that, okay, I'm interested in playing, but mom is just sitting with me, right? Both are interested, they both have to be interested, child has to know that. And so difficulty with pragmatic language, because the child doesn't interpret or understand the pragmatism of the pragmatic skills of the adult, and the child lacks in expression and interpretation of the emotions, and also the child has difficulty in showing interest in other person's ideas or comments. हम लोग बोलेंगे अच्छा ये blue वाला रखो ना, अच्छा बनेगा building. Child doesn't listen. Okay, so those things make it a hurdle when you try to implement any play activities for children with autism. Okay, now how can we help it? So what you do is you make visual icons. As I said, AAC helps a lot. How it helps is, I said, when you implement, when you have more visual icons, the child can play around, the child can point, the adult can point. It helps the children to it makes sure the child is receiving more input. When you say snail, the child may not listen. When you point to snail and you say snail, the child may relate the concept with the image and the sound he heard. Okay, so when you are playing a balloon animal game, you say, I play a big snake. I am going to make a big snake. Now it's your turn, and you point to you. So once you point to you and show towards child like this, next time you can expect, now whose turn, and the child may show either towards himself or towards yourself. Okay, that will increase the communication, two-way communication system will be established. Another example is Angry Birds. The video game, Android phones or iPhones nowadays have Angry Bird game. You can have see, only with small game you may think that my child is always playing, not listening, वो पढ़ नहीं रहा है, books नहीं देख रहा है, नहीं जरूरत है. Okay, any activity you take, it can be communicative. See how many words the child can communicate while playing Angry Birds. Can talk about bird, small bird, big bird, different shapes. It goes up, goes down, goes tangential, it goes, it stops. You look, and then I want to play. Then I want a different bird, I want a same bird. You can, and then I'm all done, I want to go for a next game. Okay, so you can use this one game and make a lot of communication with the child. Okay, then you can another example is playing Uno. These are different examples. Okay, you can make your own customized card. Sometimes your communication sheet for one task can have 3 icons or maybe 100 icons, depends on the child's level of understanding, how much the child is willing to point, past experience using the icons. Most of the times we use icons which are more standard, which are more iconicity, which is very easy to understand. When you say go, it is like a green arrow. So everyone knows that, okay, a green arrow means go. Okay, a stop, a red color sign means it might indicate something to stop. Okay, so most of the time we make standard and easily understandable icons. Then building a train, again you, I, these are core vocabs. Most of the things are core vocab except for the train, track, horn, light, bell. Only few words are little fringe. Otherwise everything is like choosing, different, more, fast. All these things are core vocab. Means when I say that I want a horn, I want train, I want truck. So in these sentences what happens is I and want are permanent things. Only you are replacing train, track, horn, bell, all etc. Those are fringe vocab. Last time we talked about core vocab and fringe vocab. I hope you guys remember. We next have poor interoception skills. It is the ability to understand and accurately access the state of of their body's internal systems. Most of the times, our children, they don't understand whether they're hungry, they're thirst, they want to go to toilet, they feel some pain, they have full bladder, or they are anxious. They're not feeling good. They don't understand. Not only expression, they don't understand it. Okay, so if they don't understand, what you see them, they might have heard it must be bleeding, and they don't even express. When you see, oh, did you hurt somewhere, and they don't care because they don't understand it. Okay, so solution is, in your AAC book, in your communication book, have a body check chart. Okay, where the child can show like a, stomach ache, a pain, maybe, thirsty, hungry, toilet icon, something that helps the child to understand the present condition, how the child feels now. Okay, you can also, for increasing interoception skills, you can have yoga and meditation. You can have AAC task chart and visual schedules for that as well. Uh, this is another example of how the child is feeling. The child is worried, excited, cold, hot, not well, confused. Okay, you can use different types of uh, icons for that. Now another problem is, so now when we are talking about poor interoception, right? What happens is, when the child is playing with you, suddenly when we are playing with a big ball and it hurts, okay, the child may just keep laughing and throwing around, doesn't understand. Is it healthy for him? No, because it is hurting him and he's not able to understand or express. We have to address that issue. Now, sensory reaction. If you divide all the sensory issues our children with autism have, you can talk about sensory defensiveness, or all these things like sensory based motor disorder, like postural dysfunction or dyspraxia, and sensory discrimination. All these things are very, like, these things are overlapping. You can't exactly discriminate whether the child has only motor issues or only discrimination disorder or something like that. But most of our children might have either sense, either they have auditory defensiveness or they have tactile defensiveness. Sometimes the children don't like to touch a new thing, or they don't like to touch something that is very smooth or very rough in that case. Okay, they might have, they have sensitivity to bright lights, or some children may not like red color or orange color or blue color in that case, right? So they might have visual defensiveness, they have postural difficulties. Okay, the solution is sensory triggers and coping mechanisms can be dealt with using AAC chart. And we can always give choices and alternatives when you are offering games, right? You see the child doesn't like red car, just offer all the colors. You tell which car do you want, and let the child choose which color car he wants, right? That way, you know that if the child is not picking red color car, that means because the child doesn't want it. So if you offer that choices and alternatives, then the child will not have a trigger for sensory issues. Okay, at the same time, you can use AAC charts or social stories about how to cope with different situations. You can, like this, uh, you have different types of expression, you can concepts. You can explain to the child, some things can be green, something can be blue, then make it generalized. See, can you look around and see what else is green, what else is blue? That way the child is kind of desensitizing himself to look at all the colors. Okay, it will not remove total sensory difficulties of the child, but at least it will optimize the child's coping mechanism with all its sensory issues. Okay, then most of our children, as parents and caretakers and therapists, we know that sometimes they try to go alone somewhere, they try to run. Sometimes they go and hide under a table, go to a corner and hide. That is because of these different reasons, like they try to explore the environment. they enjoy. Sometimes when we run behind them, they laugh and they think that that's a game. It's a game for sure, but what happens, it becomes dangerous when you don't let the caregiver know and you just run around, right? Then you get a closer look at something, a butterfly or something shiny, and the child follows behind that shiny object and finally get lost. Okay, sometimes the child goes to a familiar place, he remembers because they don't express but they don't remember, right? Last time ये road से हम लोग गए थे एक park को, that amazes the child. So the child thinks next time when you go through that road, and suddenly the child starts running because the child remembers, if I take a right turn and left turn, I will reach to the park. Okay, and sometimes the child tries to avoid stress or avoid his sensory issues, like there is a loud sound or something disturbing, the child tries to run. Solution for this is, you put a tracking device, you make all the neighborhood alert, you message everyone you know. At the same time, you make a visual schedule like AAC, teach them safety skills, like using social stories, use a band like ID bracelet. Okay, and of course you use token reinforcement. You remember token reinforcement I talked about? Stars, you give for each good behavior, you give 1 star. If the child achieves 5 stars, he gets a reward. It can be a small reward, medium reward, or large reward, depending on what positive behavior he showed. Okay, so it can be a playground chat. When you go to playground, you tell that you have to look, you can't be grumpy, you have to look, you have to stop when I say. Okay, when I say finish, all done, you have to be all done. Then you don't, you climb, if you fall, you let us know. You can use all these icons in a playground chat. Also, the child can be given a wristband like that, where you can write the phone number, his details, contact number, house address, or parents whom to contact, all those things in a wristband. So if the child, suppose the child is lost, at least a person who finds the child can get the information from the wristband. You can explain, I was talking about the sensory issues, you can explain to the children when you have a loud noise, what you can do. Okay, you can talk about different social stories to not run away at school. When you are at home, you are the most perfect parent, you take care of your children very well, but what happens when the child is gone to school? You're not sure, right? So share with your teachers, talk to your child, make them understand what happens when you are in school, whether it is okay to run away. You see these visual icons, running is not correct, this big one, running not correct. Okay, and then now coming to, we were talking about different activities. Now housework, different household work, like always at end of our month, I get my salary on 30th of 1 month, right? What happens if they give me in advance on 1st of that month, where I have not worked yet? Will I be motivated to go for next 30 days? I am already paid, right? So always you have to understand, the child has to achieve something. It can be a positive behaviors, but it is always important the child understands that he has to do some task as well. Okay, so household works are very much important. Let us make some visual schedules for the children, give some token reinforcement, bigger stars, because the child helped you in gardening, the child helped you in feeding the pet. Okay, give enough time, give assistance. The child doesn't know how to feed the dog, the child is scared of the dog, go with the child, do hand over hand, do some prompting, do some modeling. The child first goes 1 step and runs behind you, then go with him, do shaping slowly, gradually, each step by step. Okay, then each time again, reinforcement can be also verbal, like very good, you did well, you could have you could ask for help, but you did it on your own. All these things help the child to get to do more household work. Okay, you can always use different your phone or something to show like this, that when you shouted, when you yelled, you lost 10 points. You helped me with work, so you got 30 points. And when I gave you a candy, a toffee, you told me thank you, so 10 points. And these things goes as a token reinforcement. uh, um, different age range. When the child is from 4 to 6 or 12 years or 9 years, you can choose different types of household works. Again, for each work you still have to, you remember, assistance, modeling, shaping, reinforcement, and breaking down into smaller steps. All these things are, if needed, prompting, and then prompting fades. All these things are very much necessary. These are few examples of household work. Like here you see feeding and taking care of pet, taking a dog for walk. Then some examples of helping in making a juice or smoothie. You say that get the ingredients from the refrigerator, and what things do I need? Strawberries, bananas. Show the image, ask the child, each point to the each icon and tell that you have to bring me this. Okay, when the child gives you a banana, you say thank you and give the icon to put it back on the chart, that this ingredient is done, we have collected. Okay, you remember, every time you then give a feedback. In starting we saw the feedback, error correction. Those things are necessary. How will he do that? Have the concept of banana, hear it, see it, do it in activity with or without assistance. Okay, then if the child does it perfectly, then you give a feedback and the task is completed. Each and every household work or behavior or homework or anything you do, break down into these steps. Remember that. Okay, then doing laundry. One example of doing laundry. You see here the image is consistent here and self-explanatory. When you say dirty, it looks like dirty, and clothes, multiple shirts and pants becomes clothes, and then sorting them into groups, different types, colors or whites. Then each time we talk about clothes in a bin, it is always clothes in a bin. Okay. Now sometimes we see that you keep calling, naam se bula rahe, Ram, come here, Ram, and the child doesn't listen. The child shows very much instability, extreme impulsivity, like the child does that and starts yelling, shouting, running around, spitting. All these things can be handled easily. Sometimes the child just sits quiet and looks at the sky or looks through the window. All these things we notice, right? This all behaviors come under pathological demand avoidance. Okay, so how do we get rid of that? We can structure our daily task and make a visual schedule. Just remember, every time you make a schedule, we saw that strategy, 4-step strategies. In one of that step is give the child enough time to process. At the same time, once the one task is completed, give the child some free time. 10 minutes time you are off the schedule. Now you can have your own time. Either you can, then what you do, you give options. You want to play on the tablet, or you want to watch a video, or you want to just sit and think. Okay, the child chooses which one to do. It is okay during that 10 minutes if the child is sitting idle and not doing anything, just thinking, doesn't matter, no problem, but it should be structured. Okay, and when the time is over, remember, there is a visual, a clock or a reminder or a timer that rings. The child has to come back and starts doing the joint activity. Okay. Always try to use indirect language. As I say, don't make the play as a task, but make all the task as a game, as a play, right? So instead of telling, hey, idhar rakho, blue wala idhar rakho, not like that. Use indirect language. Tell that what should we do today? Aaj scribble karenge ya building blocks ke sath khelenge? Give an option. The child chooses building blocks. Then you tell that, okay, let's do one thing. Today we will make this kind of building. Okay, whoever does the taller building gets a prize. Okay, always try to motivate. Use positive language. Use good facial expression, and use as much as indirect language possible instead of giving direct directions. Okay. Now coming to next problem the child faces in day to day is, it is seen that 40% of children with autism have anxiety issues, and when adults with autism, they have 50%. It increases. Anxiety doesn't reduce, it increases. Social communication increases, it goes to an optimum level, but anxiety becomes more. Okay, because adults are more cautious, they are more they have more burden, more responsibility, they have more understanding of how other people are perceive their problem, so they have more anxiety. Just like that interoception, the child may not understand that the child is anxious. Okay, when you tell that don't shout, don't scream, can you use inner voice please, the child, I am not shouting, and the child shouts, yells and tells that I am not shouting. Okay, so the child may not understand, but the different features like sweating, hyperventilation, trembling, all these things shows that child is anxious. Okay, the causes are something different, like sensory overload, crowdy people, strangers around him, and if there is a disruption in the normal flow or schedule, then the child has a problem with anxiousness. Okay, solution is different social stories, teach about anxiety and how to recognize it. The child has to recognize it and report, tell the, when you are doing some activity, when you are in a library or in a shopping complex, you see a lot of crowd that day, it is very crowdy, and the child starts feeling anxiety. It is very important for the child to understand the child is anxious. Okay, and the child comes and tells you, mom, can we go back home please, I'm not feeling all right. Okay, then identify the change and change the negative thought patterns by modeling. Then you can tell, you know what, better, we can stay for 5 more minutes, we will just go to this shop very fast and then go back home. Okay, try to shape it, try to modulate that anxiety by telling some new things. अच्छा देखो, तो तुम्हारा favorite t-shirt वो दुकान में है, एक बार जाके देखेंगे, let's go and see that t-shirt, maybe you like it. Okay, so try to channel that anxiousness into something else. Okay, then set clear expectation and use a proper reinforcement is always necessary. Then provide them choices. If the child still says no, I want to go back home, let's go back home. Okay, then of course use of AAC devices in the social stories, then pointing to a new cloth, this shop, that shop, favorite. What you can do is take out all the pictures of his favorite stores, and ask the child which store you want to go. If the child says home, then you can use the same things either verbally using vocalization if the child is verbal. If not, then you can use the same thing using icons. Okay, now there are some examples of negative behaviors or characteristics of anxiety which can be taken care of using social stories, like no spitting. When I get angry, I sometimes hit mommy. Okay, that's a small nice one, that time out. When I get anxious, I have to sit quiet, I have to relax myself, open posture like this. Okay, and then I count, I take heavy breath, 1 2 3 4 5, like that. Okay, you give different directions, you teach the child through different social stories. Okay, and each time you show to that image, that the memory, the past experience, what you have taught or you have practiced with the child comes out, and the child starts doing it. Eventually, in the starting initial stages, the child may do little bit. What you have to do? Reinforce. Okay, when you reinforce, that behavior becomes stronger. If it is positive behavior, stronger. In negative behavior, again stronger. Right? If the child spits, you say, hey, chalo chalo ghar chalenge. What happens? The child knows, okay, each time I go to a store, if I start spitting, we come back home. Okay, so no reinforcing negative behaviors, remember that. Okay, then now playing with peers, his age group or his classmates, batchmates, or neighborhood children. Different children show different levels of interest. It is not even consistent. Maybe morning mein acha khel raha hoga, evening mein he doesn't want to go with the same kids. Okay, we don't know what triggers it actually. So when there are again three phases. When you see whether if already people are playing, children are playing, the child is trying to enter, versus child is initiating. One child came home, your kid is here, your kid goes and he initiates by showing a toy, right? Initiates. Or when already there is a game going on, either joined later or initiated, to continue being at the same game, right? So for these things, the different things, for initiating, for being starting, for joining a existing game, or to continue being at the same game, you can use different social stories, sequence of events, and visual reminders like this. When playing, what kind of behaviors you expect. When already children are playing, how do you go and ask, can I join you guys? And when you're playing with your friends, what kind of behaviors you should show, by like taking turns, I have no bad behaviors. I can't spit, I can't hit, I can't shout at them. If I shout at them, then they don't look at me, they don't play with me anymore, they don't visit my home anymore. So I have to use different social stories and visual icons to explain to the child. Okay, now next thing is, see, as we all these things what we are talking about happens every day, right? Sleeping, playing, eating, going to park, going to school, all these things happens on daily basis, right? Sleep में हम लोग देखे होंगे, children with autism, they have difficulty in sleeping. They don't have fixed schedule. They might sometimes 8 बजे सो गया, कभी 2 बजे सो गया. Even as an audiologist, I work in a hospital. I see a lot of children with autism who come for a hearing evaluation, and the parent tell that, sir, isko sedate kar dijiye, please give some medication to sleep because my child doesn't sleep. So when does he sleep? No idea, sir. Whenever he wants, he sleeps. Okay, that is due to minorly, that is due to sensory issues, anxiety levels, and majorly it is due to different neurotransmitters. Okay, the solution is, this time you have to take the charge. You show, give direction, let us all go to bed, it is bedtime. Turn off all the lights, make the environment uh, showing that it is the bedtime. Okay, then slowly, initially you can you can ask the child to sleep at suppose 9:30 or 10 o'clock. Slowly change that time into early, like आज 10 बजे सोया, maybe next day 9:30, 9:45, and 9:30. Slowly you can do step by step. Again, for this you can use a lot of visual directions like planners, calendars, checklist, and again games like counting sheep. What you do is, when you open, nowadays everyone has videos, phone has that counting games. Ask the child, let us count together, okay, and let us count how many sheep are going into the farm. So 1, 2, 3, like that, and slowly, what, when we count 20, we need to relax ourselves, and then we have to count another 20 and we sleep. Okay, like that we can do different game activity while even sleeping. All these things needs, again, this is one kind of AAC system, using visual directions, using a calendar, using a timer. Those things are kind of AAC system. Okay, now specific activities can be used to enhance reception, to develop awareness. We have to identify a goal, break it down into small steps. I talked about this thing, and then we go forward and backward. अच्छा, ये तो तुमने तो जूता पहन लिया, उसको पॉलिश करना था कि नहीं? Forward and backward. Okay, then add brain breaks, not physical breaks. The child can take 5 minutes break, but look at the window, but not go away from you. Okay, and then you can teach eye-hand coordination, like rubbing coins. It gives some sensory pleasure to the children when they have more tangible, more playing around, like squeezing toys, or something that makes some sounds, small sounds and all. And when you press something, it illuminate, a light bulb blows, or a sound comes out. All those things helps the child to do a eye hand coordination. It is very important that we understand, when at younger our younger children, most of the times when children with autism, when they have a IQ issue, intelligence issue, this also helps in understanding the cause and effect relationship, means and relationship. That is very important. Those are like prerequisites, one kind of cognitive skills required to understand, to build concepts, to learn, to acquire later skills. Okay. You can do different activities for motor issues, like dress yourself, playing with play-doh, taking out icons from Velcro, putting holes onto some paper or a cardboard, putting pins on a board, or playing with bubble wrap, bursting bubble wraps. All those things can be addressing motor issues. Again, you remember we talked about sensory in that sensory we have a motor deprivation issue, right? So these things will help. Again, while doing these activities, what you do? Same thing. Take a task, give choice. Okay, give choice to the child, let the child choose, have a joint action, joint routine. After the joint activity, after that what happens? When the child does, if child doesn't do, give instructions, do modeling, prompting, slowly fade the prompting. Every activity has the same pattern. Okay, once the child does the target behavior, you do reinforce. Okay, let us see one video.
Let's talk about that then. When you engage in those behaviors. Yeah, when you do that stuff. What
The child
happens?
is using a high-tech device.
If you,
device.
yeah, if you bite hands, you yell,
No go.
so you know go. Then don't sign me yes. You don't get to go. It's a no. Because you bite your hands and you yell and you hit your head. When you do those things, you don't get to go. No, you don't. You get to
Child
eat
has
at home.
preference for
And you get to
chips.
apologize.
The child has behaviors. He took out his shirt. He's a biter.
That's a no. And you may
He's
express
anxious.
yourself
You
and
can
tell
see
me your
the
feelings.
pattern.
I'm irritated.
You're irritated. I can tell that you're irritated. No, you're not going outside
The clinician did not
until
give
you've
up.
had some food. You need to have sausage
Why not?
because your blood sugar's too low. You don't feel well. You're not yourself. It doesn't matter
Eat out.
how many times you say that. You're not eating out right now. You can eat in the kitchen. If you're mad, no, come here. Cree. Think about what you're doing. Sit down. Think about it. Stop. Stop and think.
Okay, so what you observed, the child tried to communicate. The clinician continued insisting, trying to convince, trying to motivate him that what will achieve, what will make him achieve the next whatever he wants, his target, his preferred item, is by only listening or following the first step, previous steps, right? When it did not happen, when the child insisted that he wanted something, when the clinician refused, the child started showing behavior. Did the clinician reinforce the behavior? No. The clinician continued using the device and continued talking to the child that, you know what, if you have this one, then you may not have what you want. Okay, then you have to follow this, you have to do this step, then only you can get it. So the child's negative behavior, like shouting or bending himself, moving his hands and throwing, all those things reduced, and he came back to his device because he knew that showing temper tantrum did not make it was not helpful.
Let's talk about it. Calm down. Here's the thing. If you yell, nope, don't kiss me right now. You may apologize. You need to calm down. We're not going anywhere. No, we're not. That's fine. You can get a drink from the fridge. No. We're not going anywhere with you hitting and biting your hands. I'm sure you want Bill. Everybody loves Bill. But Bill's not going to save you and take you to Five Guys. No one is.
You are not listening to
I
me.
am listening to you. I know you want to go. You're just hungry because your blood sugar's too low. It makes you have headaches and it makes you not feel well. And I get that, okay? But you need to calm down. And you need to tell me, do you want to eat the sausage that you pulled out? Yes or no?
The child is processing.
Do you want the sausage? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to calm down for me?
Yes.
Okay. And what else do you have to say?
Cup.
Yeah, I know you want to cut.
Cup.
You need to say,
Sorry.
okay, give me kisses.
The child apologized.
All right? All right, go wait for your
The child
sausage.
wanted
Okay?
to kiss the clinician, but the clinician did not allow.
I have your sausage
Because
out
it was a
already.
bargaining point for the
Or did you
child
want
that I will
pepperoni?
kiss you, let me go.
You need
Okay?
a drink.
The
All right.
clinician did not do. The clinician now let the child to kiss her, because now it is a reinforcement for the
Okay.
child.
Go.
Previously it was a bargaining.
Sit down.
Isn't it?
Go.
I'm gonna make you some sausage. Are you okay? Are you gonna chill out while I do that? Are you gonna chill out while I do that? Yes or no? Where did it go there? Okay, you gonna chill out while we do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So two-way communication
Okay,
is
that was me,
established,
sorry.
not only established that.
All right, y'all better now. Get sauce.
You can. This is another example of how to make use of a social story to reduce behaviors, self-injurious or injurious to others. These behaviors can be reduced using social stories. Again, you see that it is not only words we read. The communication partner reads it for the child, points to each image, and multimodality again uses vocalization. You can use this AAC not only while sleeping or eating or anything, but while reading stories, while doing craft work like playing games, playing music, or when it is in a peer interaction. Let's see one example.
So you're choosing between M&M, Coke, and
It's a
jelly
small
bean, and you
activity.
pick
There is
And we are playing with my friend Elijah
think that we
today.
can confine our children that will enhance their learning. It's not like that. The children can choose what they want. Okay, confinement is not the option.
Put them in his lap. Here, you can hand them to him. Great job!
See, the reinforcement
You have to
reinforce
let
the
your
behavior
instincts and now
the
we can all
child
play together.
by taking the stick. Okay, so they reinforce verbally by telling good job.
Little star, how I wonder what
Imitating
you are.
because the clinician is
Up
modeling.
above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. We are singing Twinkle Twinkle, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. How I wonder what you are. I love playing together. You helped Elijah get his sticks and sing Twinkle
See,
Twinkle.
the child was
Great job, you got
enough
2
to
tokens.
understand that last piece of the song is over. So the child started jumping.
That's so fun! Elijah, do you want to play with us?
See, there was a
I'm gonna do what Elijah does.
holding the stick.
You're doing what Elijah does too!
Slowly they will motivate the
Elijah.
child to use expression. Till now we saw only interaction and reception, right? Now the child is trying to use expression using his device.
And nose,
Remember we talked communication is the main
shoulders,
thing. It
knees
is
and toes, knees and toes.
more needed, more
That's right,
people
we
than a
did sing head,
speech.
shoulders, knees and
Speech
toes,
book.
and
Okay,
Elizabeth
communication is very much
sang.
essential.
Great job. That's right, we did sing Twinkle Twinkle, and Elizabeth, you sang to Elijah. One more.
Okay. Eventually, in last 1 minute, the child actually touches on his device and says that more drums, please. Let us skip to that to the next video. You can
The pink balloon, when you get the pink balloon, I love you. All right, Timmy, tell us our word this week.
Love.
Cool. Let's go into this one. What do you love, Timmy? What do you love? Show me.
Vanilla.
Vanilla ice cream sandwich. Very good. All right, pass it to Lenny. Pink balloon, who's got the pink balloon? When you get the pink balloon, I love you. What's our word this week, Mitch?
You see, so there was a game chosen, then steps, and then there was directions how to do it. Then there was help, assistance from each person. Each child has an assistant. Okay. Then each child has a communication system to express. it can be high tech, it can be a low tech, doesn't matter. Then there is a reinforcement. Okay, if you follow this, then the activity can become a successful event of the day. What happens if any child in between throws temper tantrum, right? So you can use the same strategies. Don't encourage the behavior by giving reinforcement, give time out, show icons, use a very positive and indirect language to calm down. Okay, then go ahead with the last. You remember we told about last phase. You can tell that, you know what, you missed your chance. It goes back to the earlier person again. Now we will give you a chance. Now he will sing the song, and then he passes the balloon to you, and this time you have to show a correct behavior. Okay, you go back to last restore point, safe point. Okay, so that the activity continues. Okay, you can use this kind of charts by saying I, you, let go of the balloon. Now it's turn for you to catch the balloon. Okay, you can use, as I said, you can use 2 to 3 icons or more than, maybe 50 icons, like look, let it go, stop, all done with balloon, don't blow it, just hold it. Do you like the balloon game, like that? And then if suppose the child drops the balloon, you oh, you missed it. Okay, so you can use different icons, visual icons, to show different steps and use it for communication.
All right, we are going to play Pop-Up Pirate. It was Pirate is in people. All right, let me give him a good spin here. All right, you want red. All right. Let me clear it off, remember? All right, here we go. Okay, don't make him jump, because you know it's going to scare me. Okay, ready, set, go.
You see, the clinician used vocalization as well as the icon on the device, and it triggered, it motivated the child that the device is telling go, I have to go, right? I have to pull it.
Come on.
Go.
Oh man.
Sometimes
So afraid. Okay.
but that's fine. As
All right,
in
what's
the
next?
child is following direction.
Oh, my
It's
turn?
your turn.
Turn.
Oh, thank you. All right. Let's see here. I'll put the power right here. Ready?
Want.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Blue.
now that I
I
have.
want blue.
Remember, this might not be, you may think that ये बच्चा तो बहुत दिन से use कर रहा होगा device. Not like that. Children are amazing learners. Sometimes they learn even in 1 or 2 sessions, because the images are very easy to understand. It has iconicity, as I mentioned before. Okay, so it doesn't need a lot of time or number of sessions to achieve this level of communication. Okay, it only needs motivation, choice given to the child, if joint attention, proper reinforcement, steps broken, assistance, all these things in all activities. Okay, you can use, this is an example where there is no device, only a
right,
low-tech
let's read our
system
book.
communication board.
Brown bear, what do you see? Let's turn it. Oh, that's like your talker. Brown bear, what do you see? I see a red bird looking at me. Let's turn it. Let's find out. Ooh, it's a red bird. Red bird, what do you
So
see?
remember, when we make a routine, when we make a schedule, when we make steps, what happens? It decreases the destructive behaviors. It increases expectation, understanding, confidence, so that the child knows, okay, the child expects, maybe, am I going to, it creates a query, am I really going to see a red bird? If suppose the page is turned and it is a blue bird, the child will look at you for sure, or express in some way that it is not a red bird. There will be a feedback and error correction. Okay, so that way, again, it is establishing a two-way communication. So just using one, does it cost much to just print these icons into a chart? You can go to BoardMaker online. You can download this pictures from internet. There are so many communication charts on Teachers Pay Teachers. Most of the charts are free, some are paid. You can download from them, or you can make your own icons easily from BoardMaker online, okay, for different activities. Just make sure that all different activities should have like this icon sheets, communication sheets, which will make it stronger concept building, stronger reception comprehension for the children. Then I remember we told about visiting a doctor.
Okay, so we're about to go take your blood out of your arm. Let's go over this. Hit the first
The
one.
child is being prepared that when you go to doctor,
Sometimes
what
the
might happen?
doctor needs to look at my blood.
Okay. Then what? Hit it.
I need to go to a clinic and get my blood drawn.
Okay. What's
Child
next?
is being prepared that there will be a blood drawn.
I just hold my arm till.
Just hold your arm still. I see I wrote it wrong. Then what?
The doctor wipes my arm with alcohol.
Okay, she's gonna wipe it with alcohol. Okay. Then what?
The doctor puts the needle in.
Okay. Then the doctor puts the needle in your arm. Without fighting. Don't fight us. Then what?
Then I'm all done and happy.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Yes.
So now from this video, what we understood is this social story is made by the clinician, maybe by the parent, not by the child. Okay, the child is just clicking. The child has a concept of going next, next, next. Okay, and the child now is prepared. He knows when I go to doctor what might happen. It is not like the child still doesn't show any behaviors there, but you can always tell the child, you remember I told you that you have to be quiet, you have to be calm and let the doctor do his work, and once you do that, we can go to McD and have some burgers if you want. Okay, give some bribery, offer some bribery to the child. If you do this, I give you a medium reinforcement or big prize or a small prize. We can go to Disneyland. Okay, but making the child prepared. You just tell, like, आज डॉक्टर के पास जाएंगे, we will go to doctor. तुम अगर सब कोऑपरेट करोगे तो I'll give you a toy. How does the child know? The child must be thinking cooperate मतलब क्या, उधर होने वाला क्या है? The child doesn't know what is going to happen. So prepare the child in different steps. This is going to happen, then this, then this. And is it flexible? Might not be. It is pretty fixed that it will happen. Then he will clean, then put the syringe, then draws blood, and you say thank you to the doctor and come back. Okay. So this is end of it, guys. I tried to cover pretty much everything. I know there was some difficulty with the